Okay, hi guys. Oh crap, am I even? Yes, I am recording. Okay. So I'm doing this because, one, apparently I have to do a video of some kind by the end of the year anyways. It's easier for me than writing, and I think it will make our next meeting just a lot faster if you know what I reflected on this trimester. I feel like a huge, gigantic nerd, and now I know how Briggs feels. I cracked myself up. Here we go. Okay, so I'm just going to take you through my portfolio for trimester 1 and my reflections, and I'll try to do this really fast, okay? Here we go. So the initial questions that Harry sent, I don't know how any of these relate to my reflection for this trimester, but I thought I would just show that I did work. I don't like my top strength. I think it's really annoying. I don't even want to say it out loud. I'm an activator, and I think the activator part of me right here is what actually I do think that affects what I'm going to talk about in this reflection, that I want to act on my ideas all the time. Thank God I have these two things which balance out these two things. God. Okay, pedagogical principles. Basically, I feel like I should be a coach with high expectations, cheering them on to do one more lap, even though they don't want to, because I know that they can run bigger, better, faster. I believe that care is the most important thing we can bring to the classroom, which I actually don't think I do often enough. I think I have too high of expectations that I forget to show care. And I think formative assessment is the basis and should be the basis of all of our lessons, and that we should review the data and take it from there based on the objectives that we have set out for that course, skill-wise and content-wise. It's going to take a while if I go over each one this slowly, so I'm going to go a little bit more fast, which is exactly what I'm not supposed to be doing in my lessons, apparently from my feedback. Hilarious. Are you a teacher who implements change? Yes. Definitely. Actually, this author dude said that he was evaluating the best teachers in a particular state, and he knew that he was going into a really great classroom when the teacher met him at the door and said, "Enter at your own risk, but I'm changing a few things up today because my lesson yesterday didn't work." So I think that good teaching is always flexible and should be changing. I definitely seek collaboration with colleagues. I make notes like this in this column and say, hey, next year we should do this, 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 and this on my scope and sequence so I can remember to talk to them about it. Differentiation, I believe differentiation should be differentiated by interest, learning profile, and readiness. An example project I've done where kids can answer an essential question, but they can do it in any medium they would like. The initial meeting that I brought to you guys, I had you pick from 5 different things I wanted to work on, but mostly I wanted to work on creating like an interconnected web between a class that makes the class more meaningful. My surveys last year, when I evaluated them, I found this. It says keep it simple, off track, too complex, over confusing, sometimes confusing, more big projects, less daily readings. You assign way too many assignments. But when I plan, I have so much I want to cover and so many things I'm excited about to teach, which is just too much. And when I put this into a Wordle, actually the 2 words that were the biggest were confusing and sometimes. So I thought that was really poignant. Which then led me to, there we go, was my goal for this chapter, which was in history, documentary American literary history, a calendar, Tuesday, in documentary film. I wanted to do a film that centered around a different hat of documentary film, whether it be history, a telling of a story, journalism, social activism, or artistic film director. And then in Latin American literature, I had them read House of Spirits in chunks as it pertains to each one of the goals for that particular unit. So that was my goal, is to have that interconnected weaving thread throughout the trimester that made all the units tie together. We looked at as an evaluative team, we looked at the Human Genome Project, and there was my lesson. Well, this is more like a project sheet. You guys kind of understand that project, so I'm not going to go over it. I had them pick roles and responsibilities. I assigned those roles, and then I said, okay, go time's on the 12th. Figure out how you're going to organize yourself. And that was the worst possible thing I could have done. So then I went back and said, well, each group needs to have these specific tasks done, and hey, I'm going to grade you on content, and hey, I'm going to grade you on analysis. And I did that for every group. This also did not work very well because I don't think it was authentic to the project. So, these are just more of the tasks. So what did that produce? That produced a lot of problems with the crazy goals to. I wasn't hanging any of the content off of it like I thought I was going to. It was chaotic, and I wasn't assessing I wasn't assessing any skills, and I really didn't know what I was assessing for their content. So I had to go, so that made me, from here, have to go all the way back to what I'm doing, threads, working at threads, and after that I sent you guys an email that said, check out this pattern we observed below. You'll see the classes I feel confident about. There's a clearly defined theme framework that goes through the entire trimester. But in prehistory, there is nothing organized with a reoccurring theme. I tried to make a theme clear by assigning a project, but it's not clear working the way I thought it would. It's not working the way I thought it would. Briggs and I were thinking probably this happened because, one, I planned prehistory first, and the other classes were reaping the benefits, or I taught prehistory last year, so I'm stuck in an old paradigm of teaching. And then when I talked to Theron about it, he sent me this awesome article that completely helped me, completely. And that's when I knew that this evaluation was not about weaving a thread through my classes. What I was reflecting on this trimester was actually project-based experiential learning, which is what EPS is all about. Anywho, I read this article. How to get higher quality students in project-based learning, which who knew that I was that kind of teacher? I thought I was a writing instructor type teacher. That's what I learned at Skyline, and at my other school before that I learned about formative assessment, but hey, EPS is teaching me project-based learning. The quote at the beginning of the article was exactly what I was going through, said exactly what I felt I was going through, and it says this: I thought the project was going well, but by the end, I felt that the work my students produced was not as good as I imagined it would be. I was a little embarrassed and almost wanted to dial back the audience's expectation on the night of presentations. And what really helped me was 5 tips they gave. One was, did I use rubric as an example to help students understand the quality of the work expected? Absolutely not. I did not do that. Did my project include effective formative assessment? Absolutely not. I did not do that. Did students have enough time to revise and polish their work? Absolutely not. The students were not held accountable for that. Did the project feel authentic enough to motivate students? Did they care? I think that it did eventually, but it was definitely more my idea. And 5, do my classroom and my school cultivate a culture of quality? I think so, but I don't think at this point in the year there had been enough student presentations for them to know what to expect on the stage for the prehistory project. So, my realization, this is all about project-based education. I did not know at the beginning of the trimester that that's what I was truly working on, but it was. Taking those tips from that article that Theron sent me, thanks again, Theron, I realized that the rubric that I had created, which was about content and analysis, just was not fitting the assignment. I put the Human Genome Project as its own category in the grade book, so it didn't possibly overinflate the grades if I didn't really know how to grade it. And eventually what I did is I had the kids create the rubric. I just said, look, I have no idea how to grade this. And that was really, how do you think you should be graded for this? And I think that was really where it started becoming a really great project. And the kids came up with a rubric and I agreed to it that I completely disagree with. I mean, I don't think that behavior should be a part of like what a kid's grade should come out being, but the whole rubric was based on teamwork individual project was just effort. The whole thing is just effort, which I frankly would never do again. But I do think that even though I didn't believe in this type of grading before, there just seems like in project-based education, when your whole class is relying on you, a certain amount of the grade should be effort. And I know that goes against some of the beliefs I have in standards-based grading, but it just felt really right. And then the other terrible thing is every single kid got 100% on that project because, again, I mean, they all worked so hard. I didn't really have clear expectations, and they all hit these so hardcore as a class. And they wanted to be graded as a class. They decided, I want to be graded on an individual basis and I want to be graded as a class basis. So I should have had a picture actually here of all of them getting 100% because I was really sad to see that because I had no idea how to grade this and I still am confused on that. So it did take away from some of the problems, and it was really, really scary, and it wasn't traditional type teaching. And I still feel like there's a lot of confusion, especially around the grading situation. Should it be formative? Should it be summative? Yeah, still have lots of questions. But what I do know now, and that makes the chaos more clear, is that reflection. I think that the reflection along the way is so vital, and I think that that's actually what can be graded versus effort and behavior. So I think the reflection piece is definitely something I want to really learn more about as I proceed with project-based education. So here we are in me reflecting based on Terry's email that she sent just a little bit ago. So the 4 things that basically, Terry, you said to do was to look at colleague commonalities, student commonalities, a sample lesson. I did not include a sample lesson. I kind of felt like all these pictures were kind of sample lessons, but if you would like me to add one, I can definitely do that. And then an evaluation of my own lesson, which that was heartbreaking to watch. Okay. So colleague responses. So I sent you guys a survey. Who knows if it worked? Maybe it was not the appropriate method, but it felt good at the time because it really helped me articulate to you exactly what I wanted you to look at. I think next time I'll have you look over it before I finalize it. So some of the things that I found 3 commonalities, and the first one's going to be highlighted in yellow, the second's going to be in blue, and the third one's going to be in red or something like that. Okay. So some of you said there's a lot of off-topic conversations. Many were loosely related, but there's a lot of content slipping during those moments. Yes, totally. I noticed a few times where you brought the class back to the task, but again, you're going off on tangents. Have you given them a list of explicit goals? I'm not convinced every class needs to have an including talk of overarching question. The pace at the beginning of the class didn't seem simple. You were very clear about your goal for the day, but for the upcoming days. But as I said above, it seemed very rapid fire. Now that I think about it, maybe that was because a lot of what you talked about during that time was a review for them. Wasn't anything unclear, but I felt that there wasn't time for students to process much, which is probably why I had all those comments from last year that were like too confusing. Because maybe it's not confusing, maybe it's just too fast, is what I'm gathering from your comments. One thing I also observed in all your comments is this is a good thing, as I noticed a lot of you talked about how I hit Bloom's taxonomy on low level and on high level. So I really appreciated that. I thought that was a really cool pattern to see. The third pattern I saw in your comments was, let me remember the impact, that kids are definitely engaged, but there's little nerves. Oh, speaking too fast. Urgency, high energy, but it's confusing. Love the energy. Oh, okay. So just the third thing was really just energy. You are full of energy and enthusiasm. I was tired watching you. You went boom, boom, boom. The times you gave to students to talk in the groups seemed very short to me. But I'm a lot older than these kids. They seemed to be able to keep up. But there certainly wasn't downtime. But I'm just going to keep reading. But it was a bit of a relief to me to have the video stop. It felt like time for me to catch my breath. Going too fast. Okay, so those 3 observations. And then just a general thing that I really liked. I think this was from Lori. Here's what we always come back to. Hang on. Oh, okay. The question you asked, what does a common thread in a trimester course look like? And I guess that's what I'm trying to figure out. I thought that was a good one to end on. My only suggestion would be to maybe try to slow down a bit to maybe not appear to be thinking out loud, to not have as many tangents, but do that without reducing your energy or enthusiasm. Man, the only thing I have to say to that is, at what point am I just losing my personality? I don't know. Because that wooer, man, that woo strength is over-consuming. Okay, so student patterns that I saw. So I gave them a survey goal as well that talks about my goal for this trimester, and just wanted to see what they thought of it. So a commonality I saw in their thing, when I asked about projects that they really liked, that were long-term projects that were kind of encompassed the class content, and what I found is that all of them like to create something, just create and experience something. It was nice to hear that all our kids, their favorite of all their classes they had was the Human Genome Project, which made me feel really good. I thought this was funny. This person liked to go to the art museum, and she said she liked the worksheet that we had to do, and all the other kids complained. But she said that it helped relate almost every piece of the art back to our class, which was really cool because I was trying to be super clear with the objectives on that worksheet. So some suggestions that they had is just really, I think what they want, and when I'm seeing it, I'm not going to read you all of these, but I think what I'm seeing that they want is, they don't care about the objective, they care about due dates. So if you can make the objective or the project really clear and then give due dates, to them that's clear, because that's what they care most about. And even though I don't really care about that as much, I care about their learning, they really care about those due dates in the grade book being really clear. And for them, that's their coursework or their roadmap. So if I can somehow utilize those assignments that I put in Canvas, almost the title of each assignment being the objective or something like that, I think that would really help them. And again, I'm just seeing over and over again that they wanted to create something. And lastly, I asked them, do you think that teachers should have one big project that encapsulates the essential content of the course? And it was almost all of them said depends. I thought I would get an absolutely for all of them, but they said depends, which now makes me wish I had asked more questions about that. And then the second thing is, do you think that Threadwater has done this? And most people said 4 or 5 out of 5, 5 being yes. So that was cool to hear, and again, a lot of them loved the Human Genome Project, which was really neat. I watched myself teach, and it was terrible, and what I noticed is that I just do a lot of the structuring and ordering for them. They can kind of just sit back and chill and watch me work away, and I don't really like that. That's what I noticed. So my overall takeaways from this trimester is, from you guys, I noticed improved focus and clarity of each day, so less tangents. My strength is in Bloom's taxonomy, and I'm just wondering how I can use that more, and then have my energy be more focused. But at the same time, this is something that people have always said about me, and I just don't know how much I can change about that. But I will work on it. And what I noticed about students, what they said in their surveys is that they just want to create an experience and share. And when I think then that we have to have an open community for that. And my huge thing is it's just very hard to find venues. Like, learning is about grades. And if we're doing experiential education, really we need to have forums to be able to share this stuff. And I don't know if we have enough forums for that. The assembly is awesome. I think that's one huge place to begin. And I would like to see more projects being shared at assembly if that's the kind of, we're going to do project-based education. We just need those venues. And then just the students need a roadmap, but not so much of objectives, like I said, but more of due dates, go figure. And then for me, what I noticed about my lesson that I had to watch was that the students were doing more of the what I want is for students to have to do more of the planning and organizing and work on their executive functioning, lean on my executive functioning. And I need to plan the due dates on the calendar for larger projects before the trimester even begins. And that I'm putting too much energy into the learning. These are all things that could take years and years to work on, just so you all know. And then, so now what I want you guys to look at for next trimester is meaningful assignments based around the project, less homework, less grading, more quality. So I really would like to work on having more focused assignments that they do at home. Again, going back to the surveys, have more long-term projects, more big projects, less daily assignments, more stuff for projects. It was really interesting because I only graded these 2 things in the practice category of their grade really, really, really well. And it actually really helped them for this. But it was only 2 assignments. And I'm just wondering how much do I need to grade to actually give them meaningful feedback. And it looked like this is a picture of the kinds of feedback I gave them. And I also met with a number of them individually. And the rubric, I just wrote on it like that. And then a student made an interesting video. I'm not going to even play it for you guys, but I'll send a link if you want to watch it in my documentary film and social action class. She made an amazing documentary about no homework, and it was actually so powerful and so socially active that it really got under my skin and made me feel really uncomfortable. So I think next trimester, with my kind of newfound knowledge of project-based learning, is how to make, I guess, frankly, just give them less homework. And that sounds, while trying to hit on my objectives and goals, content-wise and skill-wise. So I really need help with that, guys. And so last slide, what worked? What worked is your research-based articles. I mean, there in that article completely helped me out big time. I think I probably would have quit the project if it hadn't have been for that article, and then having the kids structure the rubric with me. And then the water cooler conversations, just like the conversation I had with Briggs, really helped as well. I don't think we get enough time to talk in those discussion groups because I don't think anyone has anything I don't think any of us have had enough time to think about stuff before we come to the meeting, which I hope that this video will help with. Maybe you can think about it in the last few days of Thanksgiving. Who cares? Don't think about it in the last few days of Thanksgiving. Actually, just maybe dream about it. How you can help me. Oh my gosh. There's so many more important things in the world than this. But anyways, things that might make it better. So I think what I like from my group, I guess, is just more Socratic, more, I don't know, less forum, like here's what I'm doing now, but more Socratic. But again, I don't think that we can do that unless we've had time to ponder the question at hand. Again, the more research-based articles that really helped. And, I think the third thing is a forum that works for me and you, instead of many forums, because I had the forum that I made, I had emails from you, and I had Canvas. I'm not sure I like the Canvas so much, but if it's a requirement, I'm totally willing to use it. And maybe I should learn how to use it, since that's what our school uses. And I just wanted to point out that it was the water cooler conversation in the article at this point in my process this trimester that was super, super helpful. Right at the climax of the in like a story plot, the inciting incident where everything's so like, oh my gosh, how's it gonna work out? And then all of a sudden swoops in Theron and Briggs to be like, I have an idea for you. And that's when everything kind of just became more clear. So there's my portfolio for trimester. You're probably asleep and probably thinking that I'm very, very strange, which you're probably right. Anywho, that's that. You guys are awesome, and I hope that I have learned something, and I will be a better teacher because of all this work. So thank you, and